Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, November 14th. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and you found the weather desk here on 13 News Now. Plus, maybe you're watching right now on YouTube. We post these videos out on YouTube, get a lot of great feedback from all corners of the region, the country, and really sometimes even around the world, as we can reach everybody through the internet and across all of our digital platforms. We're so glad that you found us. Each and every day, Monday through Friday, we tackle today's top weather headlines. And, you know, it's been kind of a slower weather pattern for much of the U.S. this week, but we do have one problem area, and I want to jump into our topics today because we're going to start off by talking about some more wet weather for the West Coast. So let's take a look at our weather headlines for today. Strong storms and heavy rain for California. The atmospheric river is back and flowing again. More moisture streaming into the West Coast. If you're not familiar with what we're talking about with the atmospheric river, we're going to revisit a story we did a little while ago, just explaining it. So we'll show you what's happening there and what's going to happen for areas out along the West Coast here over the next couple of days. There's a lot of wet weather and the potential for some major problems out that way. In addition to the coast issues there out west, we're also going to talk about the weekend outlook, not just for the West Coast, but for the entire country. We've got a weekend here where folks are maybe still trying to catch some fall color. You'll get some pretty nice weather for much of the country to enjoy some of that, although the colors are really past peak in many, many areas. As we take a look ahead, we've got some big events going on across Hampton Roads and here in the Mid-Atlantic. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the successful launch of the ESCAPADE mission. That's the Blue Origin rocket, the Glenn rocket, the big one that they had. They launched. They were able to recover part of it. We'll show you what's happening. It was all successful. We've got the full details on that. If you are into the rockets and all of the science that we are advancing through our space exploration, you're going to love this. All right, then after that, we're going to say welcome back to Earth. Some Chinese astronauts had a delayed return. And wait till you hear why. Kind of interesting. They are back safely, but a really interesting story on these astronauts returning to Earth. And then talk about interesting. We've had a little fun with nature, some of the kind of cool natural stories over the past few days. Well, we found another one. How about some frogs born with legs? Not tadpoles, not eggs, coming straight out live birth with legs. We'll explain where that's happening and the researchers that are finding these frogs and how unusual that is. We're going to start off, though, by taking a look at the West Coast. So as we zoom in across the country, look at how much of the United States is pretty quiet right now. It is. There's a few sprinkles in Indiana, a little bit of light snow up across the Northeast, just snow showers, really. But this moisture streaming into L.A. and Southern California, parts of California off to the north earlier. This was Thursday afternoon. You could see rain coming in to the Pacific Northwest. There is moisture feeding into these areas, and this is what we really need to be concerned with. So we have this strong Pacific storm pushing into Southern California. The ingredients are in place right now for potential life-threatening flooding. We're talking about mudslides and debris flows. The storm system moved through northern and central California on Thursday with a mix of strong winds and heavy rain. Here's a look at the aftermath in Santa Cruz in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
In the Santa Cruz Mountains, the rain started coming down Wednesday night.
The drops were coming about 8 p.m. When I woke up this morning, it was torrential rains.
That raised concerns for Linda Meyer of Valley Churches United in Ben Lomond. They have 2 gutters right outside their doors.
And we have to clear the leaves or the drains will back up, and it actually comes up to the sidewalk and right up to our building when that happens.
There was a lot of rain, but firefighters say the strong winds that were anticipated never materialized.
We had a brief frontal band come through with a little bit of thunder and lightning, but it's just been a steady soaking rain. It's kind of a great way to start your winter season. It's been uneventful.
Uneventful. That's not a bad thing for the Santa Cruz Mountains. In Zayante, a tree in the power lines was reported, and this tree fell onto cable lines on Empire Grade. Santa Cruz County Fire prepared for the calls that never came in.
Normally the volunteers respond when we're paged, and this morning we actually all came to the station at 6 a.m. And we've been there ever since, just basically waiting to make sure that if a call goes out, we're there faster.
Were you guys busy?
Actually, it's been pretty clear all day. This was our first call to take this tree off the comm lines.
Neighbors also preparing for the worst. This Boulder Creek man had his generator ready to go.
Gassed up, all the cords were running, everything. I figure the better prepared you are, the less it'll ever happen.
So there has been a lot of rain across parts of California. We're going to focus on some flood advisories down in Southern California in just a moment. But you know, it wasn't just the coastal areas or over the mountains. In Sacramento and the Central Valleys, a person was rescued on Thursday evening after being stuck on an island in Sacramento's Arcade Creek as waters were rising. Now, according to the Sacramento Fire Department, officials had 2 people and a dog that were stuck there on the island, but only one person wanted assistance from the crews. So, you know, a lot of folks having to deal with this, and it has been a big problem. I want to show you where there will be ongoing issues today as we get the day started. You see some moisture streaming into the Pacific Northwest, but we really want to focus on Southern California and this flow of moisture coming in. This is the atmospheric river feeding into this area, and you can see Santa Barbara and Oxnard, a couple of the areas that are under flood advisories. About 181,000 people in this part of California outlined in this flood advisory, which runs through 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this includes Santa Barbara, and you can see, Isla Vista and Carpinteria, some of the different communities there under that advisory. Then you look over to Oxnard. This is Ventura County there, Santa Paula, some of these different areas. This one about 375,000 people under the advisory. So a lot of population now worrying about the potential for excessive rainfall and flash flooding, and it is going to be a big issue here. It is very likely we get additional heavy rain through the day today, not just those areas under advisory for the next few hours, but there's more to come. And you take a look here, Long Beach through LA out towards Glendora, Santa Clarita, as I mentioned, Oxnard and Santa Barbara, all of these areas with this third tier of potential for flash flooding. So this is a big deal. And if you think about it, the real concerns here when we talk about mudslides, debris flows, a lot of these areas that were scorched with the wildfires earlier in the year and last year, you've got some areas that have lost the vegetation, the root systems have weakened. There's a lot of land there that won't absorb much rainfall. It's just going to run off, and there will be that potential for flash flooding. So potentially a very serious situation. Now, as I mentioned, we do have to be concerned with this phenomena, the atmospheric river. And we can take this full back up into the mountains. It's just a level 1 flood threat. But you hear us talk about this atmospheric river, and a story we ran, about, maybe a week or so ago, we were talking about it. We want to revisit it because folks do tune in occasionally to the show. So if you're wondering what this is, meteorologist Tim Pandagis has a deeper dive on how these atmospheric rivers develop and what they do.
Atmospheric rivers, a familiar weather pattern that is much more common on the West Coast than here in the East. But what exactly is it, and why is this such a unique occurrence that brings about such significant impacts? An atmospheric river can be identified on satellite imagery using the water vapor filter. This depicts high levels of moisture in the low and mid levels of the atmosphere. So what exactly is it? Like an actual river, on land, an atmospheric river is a large, narrow, and continuous band of moisture, in most cases originating from tropical latitudes where moisture is more readily available. On average, this giant band of water vapor can be quite narrow, only 200 to 400 miles wide. This conveyor belt of moisture then pushes inland, encountering enhanced terrain or mountains, forcing that moisture to rise and condense, producing prolific rainfall amounts and, if cold enough, snowfall rates. Depending on how long they persist, these atmospheric rivers can be responsible for highly impactful weather events, including floods, mudslides, and blizzards. For 13 News Now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
All right, so Tim just kind of snuck in there a little bit, and blizzards, okay? We're not looking at blizzard conditions yet, but we are looking at some snow in the higher elevations into California, get up into the Cascades, and you can see that transition from not just rain, but snow from South Lake Tahoe down through the mountains there. So we'll continue to watch this as it streams into California, and there is more rain set to come into that part of the country. Also some wet weather for the Pacific Northwest. Now, as we take a look at the tropics, nothing really to be concerned with there. That is certainly good news as we look out over the next 7 days. You know, we were talking so much about the Western Pacific with Feng Wang. That system is no more, and I am delighted to say in the Eastern Pacific and across the Atlantic, things are looking really, really good right now. All right, so we take a look at the forecast. We told you we'd give you a look ahead to the weekend. Let's get into it. Our Saturday is shaping up to be a good one for the Southeast U.S. Look at Orlando, 80, sunshine. New Orleans looking great at 78. It will be cooler in the Northeast. Little bit of wet weather around Cleveland and extending into western parts of Pennsylvania. Maybe a few spotty showers in West Virginia, and western parts of New York will be unsettled as well. In the central part of the country, things are looking great from Minneapolis all the way down through Houston, St. Louis, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Chicago, all looking great. And then we've got that wet weather coming into California. This is for tomorrow. So you know we've got that excessive rainfall concern today. Now you're looking at the forecast for tomorrow. More rain from L.A. to Las Vegas, maybe even Phoenix. So very wet, snow for the higher elevations. As we look ahead to Sunday, maybe a little more snow as some colder air works in to parts of New England, but New York City, Raleigh, Atlanta, Orlando, New Orleans, all looking good. Still beautiful across the central U.S., from north to south, all across the central part of the country. Things very, very quiet. Chicago, a little cooler at 48, 76 in Oklahoma City. Then we turn our attention out west and you see more moisture, more widespread. Good chances for rain and snow back across parts of California into Nevada, back into Colorado. You see that there in southern parts of Utah. You get down into the southern range of the Wasatch, the southern mountains there down towards Cedar City and St. George. Those areas dealing with some snow up in the higher elevations, and then rain along the west coast. This is your weekend outlook, both Saturday and Sunday. Really potentially unsettled for parts of the western U.S. All right, across our region, we're looking at temperatures this weekend in the lower to mid 60s for places like Richmond, back towards Raleigh and Charlottesville, a little bit warmer. D.C. at 60. Cape Hatteras, sunshine, cool today, 59 degrees, 56 at Wallops. We're going to find temperatures a little bit warmer tomorrow. The bigger warm-up is coming on Sunday. We've got a southwest wind that is going to develop, pushing temperatures up into the 70s from Charlotte back to Raleigh and New Bern. Richmond at 73. I think Hampton Roads tomorrow, mid to upper 60s. I'll have more on our local forecast coming up. Then on Sunday, this is where we should hit the low 70s here in Hampton Roads. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s around Charlotte and New Bern, Raleigh at 75. You get this warming trend, and then eventually some cooler air starting to push in Roanoke and up towards D.C. with some windier conditions. There's a front coming through late Sunday that is going to drop temperatures again for Monday of next week. So get ready. That is coming up. All right, so let's take a look right now, the live sky view, and this is the Thompson Creek Window Company. Let's take this full. This is a look right now at what's happening out there with the sunshine across the area. It is beautiful. I do want to check in at Norfolk Botanical Gardens because we've got something really cool going on tonight. I invite you to join me and my Daybreak colleagues tonight at the Norfolk Botanical Garden for the Daybreaker meet and greet. Now, we get out there. It's a lot of fun. I always enjoy saying hi to everybody. I don't know if you can see. Maybe you can make out some of the kind of outlines of some of the light decorations, but they've got millions of lights out there set up, and it is a phenomenal display of holiday lights and just great cheer. There's hot chocolate available out there. There's all kinds of fun stuff. And then you walk through the garden out there, and it is breathtaking. So we'd love to have you come out. While you're out there, you can also film a holiday greeting to our service members, and we air those throughout the holidays, giving you, our viewers, a chance to wish all the best to our men and women serving our country. It starts at 5, and we hope to see you out there. All right, so we are going to take a short break and check this out. We go to the pilot of a Starship. Yeah, the ESCAPADE had a successful liftoff. We're going to talk about NASA's Blue Origin. It finally got off. We've got the story and the video to show you that. And then we're going to talk a little later in the show about frogs born with legs. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. All right, so we had another big development in the modern space race between the private company SpaceX and rival Blue Origin. Here's what happened. We can call it a win this time for Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' company. Blue Origin has launched a rocket and landed part of it back on Earth. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
This morning, the modern space race heating up. The Jeff Bezos company, Blue Origin, achieving a major milestone, launching its new Glenn rocket into orbit, then safely landing its booster stage. It's a crucial step toward drastically reducing the cost of launching to space.
We're in the game. We have a reusable booster, and this is just the beginning.
For nearly a decade, Elon Musk's company SpaceX has been the only company capable of this feat. It's dominated the private space launch market with hundreds of flights of its Falcon 9 rocket. But now it looks like SpaceX finally has some competition.
A new day, a new chapter has just opened for, as we said, Blue Origin, but also the space industry.
Bezos seen celebrating in the control room, hugging fellow staffers. Praise pouring in from NASA, but also from the competition. Elon Musk tweeting his congratulations. The launch not only marking a turning point for Blue Origin, but also a critical step in NASA's plan to send people to Mars. The new Glenn rocket is carrying twin NASA spacecraft called ESCAPADE. The two identical probes are headed to Mars to study the atmosphere.
ESCAPADE will also help us prepare to send human explorers to the Red Planet. For example, ESCAPADE will give scientists more details about Mars's upper atmosphere that future astronauts will use to send radio and navigation signals around the planet.
With this success under its belt, experts say Blue Origin could now secure more contracts and chip away at the dominance of SpaceX. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
It is so wild, and congratulations to everybody associated with that project. All right, while we're talking space and the successful U.S. launch, we want to congratulate and celebrate 3 Chinese astronauts who did return safely to Earth on Friday. But this came more than a week later than planned, state media reports. Now, the Shenzhou 20 crew finished their mission to China's Tiangong space station last Wednesday and handed it over to the new crew arriving for a 6-month stay. but their return was delayed after a suspected debris strike cracked their spacecraft window. Think about that. They came back on the Shenzhou 21 ship, while the damaged Shenzhou 20 will remain in orbit for experiments. Tiangong is one of only 2 operational space stations along with the International Space Station. Glad those astronauts made it back. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to something kind of fun. Again, this is the second time I've used this emoji. Like, whoa, never really thought about it. But did you know some species of frogs bypass the egg and tadpole stages, and the frogs are actually born with legs? It's live birth. Yeah, scientists have identified 3 species of tree toad that leapfrog over the egg to tadpole stage. The females give birth on land to dozens of toadlets, little itty-bitty tiny toads, such cute little guys, each just a few millimeters long. Now, live birth is extremely rare in amphibians. Out of more than 4,000 species of frogs, fewer than 1% bear live young. The 3 varieties of toads from Tanzania were previously classified as 1 species, but they now say, okay, 3 species. So really some cool stuff there as far as frogs go. Thought you might enjoy that. All right, let's get back to some more weather here, and we'll talk some more about what's happening across Hampton Roads. You can see the skies are sunny, and we're going to enjoy a really nice day. Winds have been coming in from the north-northwest, and that's going to keep our temperatures close to maybe a little bit below average. It'll be, 60-ish, low 60s inland, not too bad. High pressure's in control. That's going to provide the sunshine, so we'll take that through the day today. Tonight, clouds will start to roll back in, and eventually, as that ridge of high pressure slides to the east, winds are going to come up from the southwest. That's going to drive our temperatures up tomorrow and for Sunday. For today, we've got just about full sunshine across the region. Temperatures will warm as we get into the midday, into the upper 50s, and pretty much stay there through the afternoon, upper 50s to low 60s. Through the overnight, you see the clouds coming in. Now, those clouds are going to act like a blanket, keeping some of the heating near the Earth's surface. And for tomorrow, we are looking at a mix of clouds and sunshine. Into our day tomorrow, we're looking at mid to upper 60s and then low 70s for Sunday. Then a front comes through. How about Norfolk State hosting Morgan State, the last home game of the year for Norfolk State? Behold the green and gold. We mentioned how great the win was for Old Dominion hosting Troy last night and winning 33-0 on national TV. Let's hope Norfolk State takes it and gives Morgan State the run here. As you can see, we're expecting great weather, a few more clouds later in the day, but really, really nice for the Spartans. Go NSU. Here's a look at the marine forecast today. We'll come back to today and what's going on out there. Some folks may be wanting to get out on the water. Temperatures a little warmer this weekend. It's still breezy out there. You may want to stay in port till things settle down, but the wind should ease maybe late. We'll see. Do check before heading out. Over the weekend, it looks pretty good, but it's still a little breezy out there on the open water. Highs today are going to reach about 60 degrees in Norfolk. I mentioned lower 60s inland, Franklin, Suffolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach near 59 degrees, Eastern Shore mid-50s, and then upper 50s to near 60 for the peninsula, the middle peninsula, and the northern neck. At the Outer Banks, upper 50s there as well, low 60s across northeast North Carolina. Tonight, the low down around 49, mainly clear through the evening. Again, great weather to come on out to the Norfolk Botanical Garden, visit with our team from 13 News Now Daybreak. We're going to see partly cloudy skies rolling in later, and then those skies are going to remain partly cloudy tomorrow. But with winds coming from the west and eventually the southwest, that is going to push our temperatures up a little bit, more like mid to upper 60s. After that, near 71 on Sunday, and then cooler behind a cold front. Just a 20% chance for a shower on Sunday with that front coming through. I don't think we'll see too much with it, but there might be a shower, especially off to the north. Front comes through, cooler on Monday, and then showers more likely with a system coming in, a little more moisture to work with there. After that, Wednesday and Thursday, we should be drying back out. Now, whatever your plans are for the weekend, a great way to stay in touch with our forecast updates and our radars is through the 13 News Now mobile app. If you download this mobile app, it's absolutely free. Not only will you get your weather updates, but you'll also get traffic and news alerts when there are breaking news or breaking traffic stories. you have access to the radars. And as I mentioned, we might see a couple of showers late in the weekend. So whatever your outdoor plans are, it's always a good idea to take the 13 News Now mobile app with you as you go about your business. I want to thank you so much for helping continue to grow our viewership here. It's been an amazing time. We've been doing this now for, I think, 13 or 14 months. It's been going. I think I started it the end of September or October a year ago. And every single weekday morning at 9 a.m., we give you today's top weather headlines from the Weather Desk. And again, we're coming into the winter months. We'll start talking about winter outlooks. We'll have more snow forecasts and different projections coming up. So let your friends know about us. You can find us on 13 News Now Plus, and you'll find us on YouTube. We'll continue to bring you these stories each and every weekday morning starting at 9. You have a great weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you next time.